this near-death experience, and an NDE is when you basically are near death and you're transitioning into other worlds, if you will, for lack of a better way to explain it. But I want to back up and tell you how that even came to be. So for those of you who know, I travel quite extensively to see my clients, and so I can be present with them face to face. And because I was traveling so much, I wanted to make sure that I was in my best way energetically and health-wise. And when you travel in airlines and airports, you get exposed to all different kinds of bugs. And so I used to go and get what is called ozone therapy and also multivitamin therapy. So I would essentially get multivitamins intravenously. So they'd hook me up to an IV, put the vitamins in, and I would sit there for like an hour and I would feel better. I'd be totally hydrated and good to go, which sounds good, right? I had been doing this in Mexico. So I would go to Mexico like once a month, every 6 weeks, and I would get this therapy. And it was at a reputable establishment, and I had been doing this for about a year and a half with no problems whatsoever. And then all of a sudden, there's a problem. And immediately when they put the IV into my arm, I immediately felt a burning sensation, which was not normal. And I looked at the nurse, and we're speaking Spanish, and I said, no bueno, this is not right. And I said, look, and my whole arm had turned bright red. And I said, this isn't right. She took it out immediately. But by then, as you know, when you get intravenous vitamins, what happens is it goes into your bloodstream right away and it starts going throughout your system. Well, long story short, it went through my entire system. I was beet red in every way that you can imagine. Every piece of skin that was showing was bright red. And I could feel the heat going up in my limbs and my body, and then the heat got to my organs, and I can just feel what it was inflammation, but it was also heat. So essentially your organs start to shut down when they get overheated, and that's what was happening. I was going into anaphylactic shock, and I could feel it in every aspect throughout my body. And it had gone all the way into my organs, and so my internal organs were burning. And I started to notice my head was starting to burn. So I knew it was going into my brain, and I knew I was dying. So I had a complete awareness that I was dying, and that that was going to be it for me. And I can hear them roll in the crash cart, and I wasn't scared at all. I was just more like, this is how it's going down. Like, I wasn't afraid. I was just more shocked and surprised and in complete, I would say just, I was on pause, if you will, because it was starting to go into my brain. And that's when I got the first shot. And as soon as they gave me the first shot, then the swelling, it stopped everything from progressing. So it didn't go all the way through my head, and my heart didn't fail. Thank God we didn't need the crash cart. But I was checking out, and I knew I was checking out. And then 5 minutes later, they gave me the second shot, and then I had to sit and wait for, 3 to 5 hours to where I could be, my blood pressure and everything could come down. And then, of course, I'm in Mexico, and they want to take me to a hospital in Mexico, and I'm saying, no way, I'm not going to a hospital in Mexico. And so I just calmed down, and they said, well, go home, go to the emergency room, and, see you when we see you, kind of thing. So I had been going there for a year and a half, and now all of a sudden it's just like not coming back anymore. I had become friends with the doctors and so forth, but now it's like we all knew that this was not the norm situation. So as it turned out, after that, as you can imagine, I had this amazing allergic reaction to we don't know what, because I never had any symptoms. So then what I noticed happening is that there was like fear, an undercurrent of just massive fear of what could I eat that might kill me. And at the time, those EpiPens were going for $800 a pop, and I got my EpiPens, but it was just absolutely ridiculous to live your life in fear of what was going on. And I just knew I couldn't live my life that way either, because that's not the frame of reference in which I would recommend for anybody. Although I know lots of us live in fear of what's happening in our lives and around our world. So I ended up finding a doctor who was very patient, and I had the wherewithal before we left the hospital in Mexico, or the doctor's office in Mexico, to take a picture of the bottle. And it turns out that I'm literally like 1 in 12 million people who has an allergic reaction to liquid B6, of which I showed no signs of having an allergic reaction before, but all of a sudden, here it is, I had it, and B6. So now that I had identified what I was actually allergic to, I don't have to live my life in the fearful state. So some of the things that transpired after that near-death experience was just, for those of you who don't know, I've always known and seen patterns. I see patterns within organizations, I see patterns of behavior, and that's one of the reasons why I was able to coach at such a high level, is because I was able to identify these random patterns that most people can't see, I could see, and then you adjust your behavior accordingly. Well, these patterns that I see have gotten crystallized, meaning that they're crystal clear now, and I see them running through everything. It has also heightened my telepathic abilities. So in past sessions, I might sit there and chit chat with you, but now I am able to actually go and get the undercurrent issues of what's causing what you think is happening. Because oftentimes what you think is happening isn't really the issue, and we all know that, but how do you see the undercurrent of that? And I see those things. I sense them and I see them, and because I can sense and see them, what I'm able to do is help shift those patterns so they either clear and disappear, or they change into something that's better and for your highest and best good. And I can do this, and I've been doing this with individuals at this new level of energy psychology is what we're calling it now, using this energy psychology to help people and teams shift the undercurrent so things work much easier and faster. So a couple of the distinctions of this work requires less time for you, less time for me, and better results. And so if you've worked with me in the past, you know I'm big on quantifying and getting results for my clients. But the thing is with this energy psychology and this changing of patterns, it happens much faster and easier for you and your teams, and you'll just be amazed. So you might be wondering, why, Kiannaa? Why are you telling us now? And the reason why is because I've reframed my entire business model and how I'm working, and I wanted to take this opportunity to give you a chance to work with me in a different capacity. So I have a monthly membership, and I am willing to give you a discount of that monthly membership. So what does a monthly membership mean to you? So we would have one 90-minute session, one-on-one, and you would be able to see, feel, sense, experience the difference for yourself. You don't need to have multiple sessions with me to feel like you're getting your money's worth, and because you need to be with me. You're going to be operating at a much higher level, and so this requires less time and energy on your part, and you will see things shift and move much, much easier. And then if you decide that you like this work and you want to continue forward, you will have that price locked in as a monthly rate. Otherwise, if you wait, it will go back to the normal monthly rate that it's at. So you have some time to think about it, but not too much time. So I look forward to hearing from you. If you have any questions, please reach out. I look forward to talking with you and connecting with you in our monthly conversations. Cheers.